Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome back to the Pageant Sit Down. I'm one of your hosts, Regina Elena, and we are super excited to have you on with us this afternoon. It is one of the first few weekly episodes that we are having for the month of May, and I am joined, of course, with my co-host, Elizabeth. Hey, Liz.
Hi, Regine. How's it going?
It's hot. It's
It
hot
is
in
hot here
Canada,
for once.
but I know our guest, it's a lot hotter there.
This is true. This is very true. Speaking of our guest, we have the lovely Juanita Maldonado and Miss Grand, Texas. Welcome.
So hi, thank you so much for having me. And I know you guys were saying that it's pretty hot where you all are at. Trust me, this Texas heat, I can assure you, probably doesn't compare to it. I think right now we're at 90 some degrees, and that's a good weather. Usually when summer hits, we hit about, I think the highest we've hit here is 117 degrees.
Very Whoa. Yes. That's really hot.
The air is it's very dry, very humid, so you just walk outside and you start sweating. We'll get back to that later, and I'll talk a little bit about myself. So my name is Juanita Maldonado. I am 25 years old. I'm the current Miss Grand Texas 2022. I have a bachelor's degree in mass communications with a concentration in broadcast journalism, and I currently work as the media relations, also known as a public relations, for a professional men's basketball team known as the Rio Grande Valley Vipers.
Nice. Wow. You do a little bit of everything. That's awesome.
Yes, I do. When I go to work, they're like, so what are you doing this weekend that we have off? So they're kind of always just checking up on me to see what's next for me.
That's exciting. Okay, so you've been doing pageants for a while. I know Liz and I were talking, and we were astonished by your resume. What other pageant systems have you been in, for those who are new to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started pageants kind of late in the game. What they say, most start fairly young, 7, 8 years old. I did not start until I was 17. So I actually just entered my 8th year of pageantry. I took a break for about a year or two with school and everything. So some of the systems, the bigger systems that I have competed are in a Miss Globe, United States. I competed there. I received, I believe, 3rd runner-up a while back. That was my first national pageant. And then,
wow.
That was my first national pageant. It was a blast. And then after that, I went and competed at Miss Texas Belleza Latina International, won that back in 2018. Then I went to compete at Miss Belleza Latina International. I conquered that one as well. And then I went to the Regency system. At the Regency system, I placed 1st runner-up at International. So it was quite, a journey for me because we had girls from all over the world, Australia and some very amazing countries. So I placed 1st runner-up, and then I was awarded the title of Miss South United States Regency. Miss United States Regency International. And then after that, I was also awarded Miss United World Ambassador. And now I'm here as Miss Grand Texas. So I'm competing at the local, state, city, national, and international level.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Those are really fun. I recognize all those pageants, so it's really cool to have you on. And I have lots of questions, so I'm really excited.
Thank you. Yeah, no, the more questions, the merrier. I love questions. So the funny thing is, because I graduated, like I said earlier, with a broadcast degree, I'm so used to being asked questions, and it's my nature to ask questions. So when other people come and ask me questions, it's kind of, I want to ask you a question too. It's just my nature.
I mean, we can have a full-on conversation. That's no problem. So Liz, do you want to start off with a question?
Sure, absolutely. I guess we can kind of start with where you're at now in your pageant career. Why did you choose to compete at the Grand System? It's kind of a newer, fresher pageant. So can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so the Grand System here in the United States, it's fairly new, but once you go to Thailand, other countries, it's something extraordinary. Their productions are absolutely phenomenal. So this is a system that stands for Stopping the War and Violence, and I think this is very crucial now more than ever. And it's not just about physical violence, countries fighting with each other. It's more of putting a stop to bullying, putting a stop to domestic violence. So Stopping the War and Violence falls under a bigger spectrum, and different topics fall under this. So I think it's something that needs to be said. I decided to compete in it because it's always drawn my attention. I love the glamour. It's basically grand. That's what it is. It's grand, very, I like to say it's very Latina-like, because the things you see incorporated are what you would see incorporated in Latina pageants. So it was a dream of mine to compete in the system for the longest time, and it took me almost 3 years actually to conquer this title. So let me go back. So back in 2019, I signed up. It was November of 2019. I signed up to compete at Miss Grand Texas. Then we were supposed to have our state pageant in March, but unfortunately that's when COVID hit. So I remember I believe it was 3 days before we left for the state pageant, we received a message saying the pageant is no longer happening. We're kind of postponing it because of COVID. I know, I was so excited, and I had all my bags packed and everything, but everything, I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. So we kind of stayed on that, and then the dates kept getting pushed back. So our state director decided to do kind of a video convocation. So we did interviews, and we also submitted videos. Unfortunately, at that time, like I said, it wasn't my time. But you know what? Sydney was selected as a winner that year, and she was an amazing representative of the organization. So I stayed with that little bug of, I want to come back. This is what I want. This is the system that I want to be part of, and I'm going to work hard for it. So 2020, the pandemic was around. I worked super hard, and then 2021, this past year, came around. I remember at the beginning of the year, I messaged the director, Mr. Marcelo. He gets mad when I call him Mr. Marcelo. He wants me to call him Marcelo, but it's out of respect. So when the year started, I sent him a message asking him about dates, and then I know dates were still kind of pending. Then I finally heard that it would be in November, and I signed up. You don't even understand how fast I signed up when I heard about those dates being announced. So I signed up. Our pageant happened in November of this past year of 2021, and now I'm here as Miss Grand Texas.
That's so fun. When is your state or your
national?
Nationals?
Oh my gosh. Well, I blanked there for a second.
Don't worry. So nationals will be in Chicago this year, June 20th through the 24th. Finals night being the 24th.
That's exciting.
That's
it's
close.
Coming up
That's
so
good.
soon.
Yeah, so I believe we're about 43 days, I want to say, around there, around the 40s. That's how many days we have left. So it's about a month and a couple of days away.
But really, who's counting, right?
I know, who's counting?
So in our live chats, Janice McGregor says, can we talk about the dress on either side of the thumbnail? It's gorgeous and suits you so perfectly. So it's the pictures that you had sent in with the teal outfit.
Okay. Yes. So thank you so much for that comment. I really appreciate it. That's actually one of my favorite pieces. So there's actually a story to that outfit. When I competed in Belleza Latina International, when I won Miss Belleza Latina International, that was actually an evening gown. It was an evening. Yes, it was. If you go back to my pictures when I won Belleza Latina International, you could see the evening gown there. And then I was so in love with it. I only used it one time, and then it was kind of put away. So when we competed at the Regency system for Regency International, we said, how can we transform this? Because we had it there. It's a beautiful color, beautiful everything. So we transformed it completely and turned it into what you see today with an overskirt as well. So my evening gown had an overskirt. So we kind of just changed the top, added the flower that's here on the side. And we kind of grabbed that inspiration from Catriona. So that flower is a flower from the Philippines, and it stands, for women empowerment, being diverse and all of that stuff. So that's kind of how that idea came into fruition. I believe Catriona's dress, if you go back and look at it, was pink. I want to say it was a pink. So that's where we kind of grabbed the inspiration from. And, it kind of brings out that Latina flair as well. And I'm very proud and very happy to be a Latina. So anytime I can showcase that, I'm more than happy to. So that's when we decided to come up with that piece, and we just used it for the pageant. So then when the photo shoot came around, we kind of just used the opportunity. And fun fact, for that photo shoot, we actually weren't going to use that piece. I took it as a backup piece. Yeah, I took it as a backup piece just in case of anything. And the hair and makeup artist and the photographer said, that's it. That's the piece we're going to use. The color stands out beautifully on the white background, and I'm glad we did.
Yeah. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, great photos.
And I forgot to Yeah, and I forgot, thank you so much. I forgot to mention that it's actually a Regina's Couture piece. So Regina's Couture is a brand from here, from the McAllen area. She's showcased at New York Fashion Week. She's been showcasing pieces throughout the United States, and she's sent pieces everywhere. She's absolutely amazing. I've worked with her several years, and she kind of designs most of my wardrobe for pageant competition because that's her specialty, pageantry.
That's awesome.
That's super cool. I kind of want to dive in a little bit more about Grand because I just recently watched the Miss Grand Thailand competition, which was phenomenal. If you guys haven't seen it, it's on YouTube, so check it out. Could you tell us what the categories of competition are that you're competing in, and if you have a favorite competition that you're most looking forward to?
Yes, absolutely. So we do compete, and we have our personal interview with the judges. And aside from that, we have our evening gown, swimwear, and we have a speech. This is personally my favorite, the speech. So we have about a minute to a minute and a half to send out a message. Within that minute and a half, it's kind of, what does stopping the war and violence mean to you? There's so many things you can speak about within that minute and a half in that topic. So it's pretty much open to us. That's all they give us. So it's been an amazing preparation because I'm a speaker. I love to speak in front of people. So I know we have that, and we also have on-stage question. And those are pretty much basically the categories that are incorporated in the grand system.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. And your fashion sense is on par. So can you give us a little bit of like a sneak peek or an insider scoop on what you're wearing for your national pageant?
Absolutely. So it's crazy that you bring that up about my fashion sense. Thank you, by the way. So growing up, I was never really fashionable. I was always a tomboy. You would see me in soccer cleats or in running shoes with my soccer gear, muddy, running around with the guys, playing with the guys. So I never had a fashion sense. It actually wasn't until these last couple of years that I kind of started incorporating it a little bit more. I started to feel a little bit more comfortable playing with colors, playing with different styles of shoes and different wardrobe. And I started learning a little bit more of what suits me. So now, it's pretty fun. I play as much dress up as I possibly can, especially in my job itself. So with my wardrobe pieces, for nationals, we're still debating. We have, 3 different colors that we want for evening gown as well. Our swimsuit is sponsored. Our opening number is sponsored as well. So we have different ideas. We do have about 3 options and everything. We like to keep our options open. So I can't really say much about it, but I know we do have options.
When you say do you have like a whole team behind you helping with your outfits?
Absolutely. So it takes a village to be able to be successful. I'm a firm believer in that. You can't be doing everything by yourself. It always takes a team. My director has been very great at, saying we need this, or this suits you, this doesn't suit you. My pageant coach as well, and longtime friend, her name's Carla Monke. She owns Regina's Modeling Academy. She's been with me since the start. She was my first pageant coach, and I wouldn't trade her for the world. She actually has trained. She does runway training. She just does wardrobe training as well. Her training, she's trained with people that trained Zuleika Rivera, former Miss Universe. So she knows a little bit about everything. She's been amazing. And her mom is actually the designer and the owner of Regina's Couture. So yes, it's great having a powerhouse system. Everything I wear, everything that I plan, I kind of goes through them to make sure that it fits everyone's vision, because sometimes I see myself in something and I think I look great in it, but sometimes you also need someone else's perspective, because then you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have worn that. So they have been an instrumental part of my success.
Mm-hmm. You kind of talked about like a powerhouse. I always associate Texas with like powerhouse of pageantry. Yeah. They're always killing it. Hair, makeup, wardrobe, everything. What has been your experience competing within Texas and competing outside Texas, whether it's in the States or internationally, like you mentioned? What is the difference?
So Texas, like you said, is a powerhouse. We are all about the glam, the big hair. We have this saying that goes, the bigger the hair, the closer to God. So that's why you see the big hair on us, but we're all about the glam. And Texas itself is a very competitive state. If you look, for example, at Miss Texas USA, you have over 100 contestants competing for that one crown. I think it's embedded in us to be competitive here in Texas. And so when I go out in different places, we're so zoned in Texas, but there's other powerhouses as well. There's different places around the United States that breathe and live pageants as well. But sometimes going into a concentration, there's high expectations from Texas because, like you said, pageants are very big here. So I kind of sometimes feel that pressure of, oh, okay, well, I have Texas across my chest. It's not just pressure, it's an honor as well. But I think there's a little bit higher standard to those coming from Texas because, like you said, we're from Texas.
Yeah, totally. We have some online questions I can get to. So outside of pageantry, what are some of your hobbies and things that you like to do? I know you mentioned a bit about your education. Anything else that you like to do outside?
Absolutely. So I'm a big sports person growing up. That's something that I always did. I started playing soccer ever since I could remember. I want to say 3 years old. My dad was a big soccer fan. We would go outside, play it as much as we could. That was our family time. He would play in soccer leagues as well, summer leagues. Every Sunday, we would take the time to go out and watch him. And he was more on the older side already. He was in his late 30s. So it was always fun watching him and saying, you know what, one day I want to do that. So on my free time, I love to play soccer. Even to this day, you'll see me around running with the soccer ball. I also love to run long distance. Oh, I love to run miles and miles and miles. I was in cross country. Mind you, growing up in the 5th grade, 6th grade, I wasn't the best runner, but if there's something about me is that I'm a very hard worker and I like a challenge. So from that moment on, I took on cross country and it was flipped. That little switch in me was flipped, and I love to run. I could go on for a 7-8 mile run, 10-mile run, just for fun. It's just so.
Wait,
I know.
You can do that in the Texas heat?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Not me.
Yes. It's crazy. So at the beginning, I actually got asthma, exercise-induced asthma, because I would run so much in the Texas heat and I would push my body because of that. Exactly. I wasn't born with asthma or anything, but because of how much I would, the heat and everything affected it, I actually received asthma. It's a pretty hectic story. I can live without it now with my inhaler. I don't think I've used an inhaler for a couple of years, but every now and then whenever it's humid outside and I go work out, sometimes it kind of takes a little bit extra to get that rhythm flowing. But yeah, I love to run in this Texas heat. They would so the sun is a lot stronger during 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, even noon. But 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whenever I was in high school, we would practice at that time. So we would come out drenched. We would wear, our colors were gray, black, and white. You could see through all of those, including the black. So that's how you would know we came out pouring. Yeah, we would come out red. I think my tan got 20 times worse than what it usually is. So it was fun, but I loved it. You know what? Just being out on that field, running nonstop. I know I kind of sound crazy, right? Because 10 miles in Texas heat, but I loved it. It was kind of a getaway from, the world itself, because you're just running. You don't know where you're running, but you're running. And then aside from that, I'm a big outdoor person. I love to go hiking. So I know in my Instagram, you can see a lot of the pictures that I love to go hiking, discovering new places. It's fun. And I'm also a very big water person. I love to go to the beach, but I don't like the salt water and I don't know how to swim. Yeah, I don't know how to swim. So I know when I visited Hawaii, oh my goodness, I fell in love with Hawaii and everything about it. It's a beautiful place. If you all haven't gone, I recommend you ought to go. It's a beautiful place. I was scared to go into the water when I first got there because the water over there is on a different level of roughness. It's, if you get caught into the wrong wave, then that's pretty much it if you don't know how to swim. But that's a little bit about what I like to do from the many, many things.
That's fun.
Lots of outdoors things. I love it. That's super cool.
I just can't get over the fact that you run 10 miles in the Texas heat. Like Liz and so for all of our viewers, we were talking about how hot it was here. But then I'm thinking, like, if we're complaining that it's hot here, and like Maria from Galaxy is already warning us when we go to McAllen, it's going to be hot. I'm like,
yeah, because you guys are doing this summer.
Yeah, Maria is not kidding. Trust me, when we say it's hot here, it's absolutely you walk out and you will start drenching and sweat.
Oh,
so
no.
make sure you bring a fan. Don't bring jackets. You are not going to need jackets here. Maybe just at the venue itself where the pageant will take place, but other than that, you won't need that. Make sure you bring, I know you're in a pageant, but bring comfortable clothes on the side as well, because trust me, it gets pouring hot.
Linen clothing only.
Yes.
You mentioned that you were the ambassador, if I'm correct, for the United World system.
Yes.
We have Canada United World happening here in just a handful of weeks, so it's kind of exciting over here. Can you tell us how the opportunity came about? I know it's a newer pageant system, so how did you get involved?
Absolutely. So I love everything the United World the system stands for, it stands for unity. We actually, if you look at the crown, you see the little blue stones. I could never pronounce the name of them. It's Chalcedony, something like that. So that stone itself represents unity. So when the opportunity was presented to me, I think this was back in 2019, I was kind of in a period, this was after the grand system situation that happened with Texas. I was kind of in a period of transition, trying to figure out what was next for me, kind of, trying to stay active, especially during the tough times that we were going through. So then Jessica Schiff, the international director, comes up to me and sends me a Facebook message. She tells me, hey, you know what? I'm coming up with the system. I'm looking for an ambassador, and I thought you would be perfect for it. And I was very shocked, taken aback, because out of the 1,000 girls that she knows in the pageant system, she came up to me. That was such an honor. And for those who don't know who Jessica Schiff is, she's an international, title holder. She was Miss Galaxy back in the day. So she has quite the resume under her arm. So when she came and presented this opportunity to myself, I was very excited. I didn't know what to say. I told her, you know what, thank you. Let me kind of soak this in and kind of just take it in and enjoy it, because I like to enjoy all of the little things, especially with opportunities like that. I always get excited when stuff like that is presented to me. So I kind of asked her if I could there wasn't much to think about, but I did ask her if I could take a week to kind of think about it, do a little bit more research, and to make sure that I had the time to do it. Because when I commit to something, I like to commit to it 110%. I don't believe in, whenever you have time. No, I believe in, we need to make time for it. This is a duty. This is a job. This is basically a job in itself. So I kind of, took all of that into consideration to see if I could fulfill the role, because the last thing I wanted to do was to take that opportunity from another young lady who could probably do a better job if I wasn't able to. So I kind of sat down, put everything into a balance, and then a week later I told her, you know what, yes, this is something, I admire what you do. I admire the system, and this is something that I want to kick off with you. So I was actually the first queen, and I'm actually, if you ask her, I'm only going to be the only ambassador in the history of the system. So I can say I was her first queen, her first ambassador, the first everything. So it was such an honor that I had that reign for about a year and 2-3 months. So when we crowned the international title holders, the new ones, the ones that we have right now, it was I felt so fulfilled, because I know this is something that Jessica really wanted. This is something she really worked hard for it. And to know that I was just a little tiny part of that dream that she had, actually, makes me so happy. And I'm so happy for her and the United World system. I just have nothing but good things to say about that system.
That is amazing. Well, we are actually at the halfway point of our show already. And there is this segment. I know, it goes by fast. There's a segment on our show which is 5 tips from a beauty queen, and having all the experience that you have and are gaining with your own pageant preparations now, what would be your top 5 pageant tips for everyone watching us today?
Absolutely. So the first thing that I always tell everyone is always remain true to yourself. I think sometimes we go into the world of pageantry trying to fit a mold, or for example, we sign up for a system and we start turning into something we're not because we want to fit that system. And to be honest, now there's thousands of systems out there. Find a system that suits you. Don't try to change who you are, because trust me, someone's going to appreciate who you are for who you are. Eventually things will catch up onto you if you try to be someone you're not. So always remain true to yourself. Always keep the ideas and beliefs that you have. Don't try to change them because someone tells you that, you're wrong or they're not what we want or what we need. Basically, it's you. Be true to yourself. I also always like to tell people to remain humble. I know it's amazing to be a title holder, to have a crown and a sash. And sometimes I feel that some instances, some people forget that we're actual human beings. So I always tell people to remain humble, to keep their feet on the ground, because, one day we could be at the very top, but the next day you just never know where life is going to take us. So just be humble. Don't let the crown overpower you. You're there to use that crown to make a difference. So just keep your feet planted on the ground. I would also say one of my biggest tips is to work hard. You're given a crown and a sash. Use that to make an impact. It's not just about, okay, I won tonight. That's it. I'm going to put it away. I'm a firm believer in making an impact in the community. Use your crown and sash to make an impact in your community. Let's say you don't win, still go and make up that difference. But now you have a powerful tool, which, is that title that you have. So absolutely go out and make a difference. Put it to use, because you have the power to do so. And, a lot of people admire beauty queens. A lot of people look up to beauty queens. So that's the perfect tool to do so. So those are, you said 5, right? I think that was 3. I'm at 3. Also, I think one of the other things is to work hard. Work extremely hard, because nothing is ever granted to you. You have to work hard. All of my life, I have had to work extra hard and twice as hard as the person next to me, because of the life situations that life has thrown my way. It's been a difficult life growing up, but you know what, I'm very grateful and thankful for everything, because it's made me work harder and it's made me into the person that I am today. So work hard. Don't just think that they're going to be given to you because of your name or your title or your background or where you're from. Work hard, because in the end, trust me, it'll pay off. And the last thing would be to always believe in yourself. If you have a goal that you want to go after, always believe in yourself, because I always say it takes one person to believe in you and to accomplish that goal, and that person is yourself. So let's say you have 1,000 people saying you can't do it. Trust me, if you're a go-getter and if you have the mindset of I'm going to do it, you will accomplish it eventually. So believe in yourself and don't let others tear you down.
I felt like I was listening to your TED Talk.
I feel motivated. I love it.
Like, let's go.
Let's do this. And that's what I want to do. So I want to be able to empower people and to be able to do that. That's actually my platform, Empowering Mindsets. It revolves around the idea of empowering individuals to be the best version of themselves, because this idea kind of originated back a couple of years ago. I was asked to go to schools, primarily in the district that I graduated from, and tell them about my life story growing up and all of that stuff, where I was at. And I remember sharing some very difficult things. And I would have children as young as 6, 7 years old come up to me after the talks and tell me, you know what, miss, I'm going through that. I'm going through bullying. I'm going through this. If you could get through it, then so can I. Just little things like that. And I realized that if my story was impacting at least that one life, imagine how many more lives we can impact with more stories. And sharing your story is a great stepping stone to kind of overcoming those difficulties and kind of letting go of that past. So due to COVID, I was kind of shut down on what I could do with the school. So I kind of had to take another step. And that's when I went into social media itself. So now I have people from all over the United States. I have a couple of, I want to say 5 international people coming and sharing these stories within the next couple of weeks. So that's all I want to do. I want to be able to change lives, empower people, and make them believe in themselves, because sometimes we're so shut down on the fact that, oh, you know what, maybe I can't do this, or maybe I'm not good enough. But I believe that everyone's good enough if you just work hard for it and believe in yourself.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned your platform, because I was just about to ask you about your platform. And I mean, I think the grand United States system would be a fantastic platform for what you're talking about. What are some ideas maybe that you have to extend your platform or use the national reach of the system to elevate what you're already doing?
Absolutely. So like you said, it ties in empowerment and stopping the war and violence, for example, I have people sharing their stories about domestic violence, of them overcoming it, bullying, overcoming. So the fact that they're sharing these, how they overcame it, and, you know, giving tips to other people, I think that ties in perfectly. And if given the opportunity to be the next Miss Grand United States, it would give me the opportunity to reach out to more people and spread this message across, because unfortunately a lot of people don't think that this is a topic that needs to be discussed, or that, you know, it's not as important as other things. But trust me, it's just as important, because there's so many things. I believe that if we all learn how to understand each other, how to understand the different views, then the world would be a better place. So if given the opportunity to be the next Miss Grand United States, I feel that that would give me the leverage to reach out to people at an international level, at a national level, be able to visit different countries and talk about what we can do to stop this. I know one of the biggest things that is going on around the world is domestic violence and feminicide and all that stuff. So I would like to be more educated on that topic, so I can go and be a voice for those people and show others that this does exist. It's right in our backyard. Just because your family member is not living it, or just because you're not living it, doesn't mean you can't, you know, it's not happening. So this would give me the leeway to be able to do that.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned earlier that Miss Grand United States is in a couple of weeks and 40-ish days. What have you been doing to prepare for it since you won your title?
Absolutely. So it's been a crazy whirlwind. Every time I prepare for a pageant, I usually focus on a lot of things. I think you have to be very well-rounded in everything you do. For instance, myself, I've been walking. I love to perfect my pageant walk in swimwear and evening gown and everything that you can think of. When I was preparing for Grand Texas itself, I was in the room walking. I would be in there for about 3 hours or so each day, Monday through Thursday, Friday, 3 hours each day, just walking. So that's been an instrumental part of it. I've been, you know, perfecting my walk, perfecting poses, facials, and everything, seeing what works for me and what doesn't. Also interview. I love to speak, and sometimes I speak too much or I speak too fast. So I've been working on that, working on the little things of trying to fix everything, because there's always room for improvement. I'm a believer in that. There's always room for improvement. You never stop learning. I've also been practicing my speech, practicing hair and makeup, putting wardrobe together. So every area of competition, I've pretty much been preparing for it. I think that no area of competition should go unnoticed.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Very true point. I feel like some people focus on, like you said, like the walks and stuff, and, you know, even if one category is not doing so well, it can really impact you. So if you're consistent throughout the whole thing, that's definitely going to be good for you in terms of winning. So yeah, that's awesome. That's a great tip as well.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I'm gonna ask another one from social media. Just go through here. Here. With the pandemic, you mentioned how there was like virtual pageants and all that. So you've competed obviously in both, in person, and have you competed in online? Sorry.
So part of the Grand, when I competed for Grand, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what are the differences between that, and did you prefer one to the other?
Absolutely. So I love in person. I feel that through in person, I'm able to feed off of the energy of the judges or the people around me. I can have facials. I'm not worried about the connection cutting off, or, you know, the connection being poor. That's one of the things that stresses me out. I'm a perfectionist. So whenever I see something's not going right, especially with Zoom, because you never know with Zoom. So when that's happening, I kind of, you know, tend to be a little bit nervous, and it kind of throws me off a little bit, because I want everything to run smoothly. So I prefer being in person, because you get that interaction. You get to know the judges, you know, what they're feeling. I'm a big person on feeling people's energy and aura and all of that stuff. So it's a lot easier for me. It's great to be able to do Zoom interviews and everything, but I think it's quite the different thing. And especially with when we had to submit our videos of the walk, it's different than, you know, having to record yourself than actually performing, you know, the stage lights, everything, the doing your hair, full glam, the makeup, the audience cheering for you. It's completely different. So if I had to pick something, 100%, it would have to be in-person pageants.
That's fair. I mean, neither Liz or I have done a virtual pageant, so it's always interesting to get people's different opinions and experiences. So your pageant is just around the corner, and I know Miss Grand United States is a title that you want, and of course Miss Grand International, or Miss Grand. But my question is, and this is a question that I ask everyone that comes on the show, what is your dream pageant title to have?
It's funny that you ask, because this is actually my dream title, and I'm not saying it because I'm competing or because we're a few weeks away. Miss Grand International, ever since I saw this system, I fell in love with it. My favorite title holder is Valentina Figuera from 2019. She's a beautiful young lady. She took on the reign at 19 years old. She was 19 years old when she took out this reign, so she was probably the youngest international title holder. So since I saw her, Clara Sosa, as different title holders, I fell in love with it. I love the glam. I love the grand system. I love the Latina flair it has to it. So everything about the grand system, I'm absolutely obsessed with. I know that probably sounds crazy, right? Because I'm not crazy obsessive, but it just, I love everything about it. People will ask me, well, what's your dream title? There's so many amazing systems out there: Universe, Supra, International, Earth, Eco. But for me, it's always been the grand system. It's just something about it that always draws my attention to it. And if it's not in my plans to be the next Miss Grand United States or Miss Grand International, I think another system that I would really like to compete in would be the Universe system. I think the Universe system is one of the most amazing systems. It's been around for several years, but my number one pick, of course, has to be the international system, the Grand International system.
Love it. Well, we are looking forward to following your journey, continue to follow your journey for June, and then hopefully make your way to Thailand.
Yeah, so this year it's actually internationals is going to be in Indonesia.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's set for Indonesia in October. So the finals night will be October 25th. Usually it's about a 3-week concentration, so more than likely it'll be from October 1st to the 25th, or maybe the last week of September through October 25th. So it's in Indonesia this year.
Wow.
Fun. That's exciting. Incredible.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be following your journey. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if people actually want to follow your journey, where can they find you online?
Absolutely. So I'm kind of going crazy because I have about 3 different pages where you can follow me with social media. So of course on Instagram, it's Miss Grand Texas. That's where the most activity of my reign, my appearances, and there it all goes on there. Then I also have my personal pageant page. It's called Miss MISS Juanita Maldonado on Instagram. And then, of course, my personal page is Juanita with 3 A's at the end, Maldonado. So for anyone who's interested, those pages are more than open. I also have my platform page, which is at Empowering Mindsets. And then Facebook, and I only have Facebook. Yeah, Facebook, it's, Juanita Maldonado, Miss Grand Texas. And that's pretty much it, Empowering Mindsets as well.
Awesome. So make sure you guys follow her, check her out, follow her journey. 40-ish days to your national pageant.
Yes, no, not keeping count.
You were saying on your social media you have quite a few appearances that you've shared. What has maybe been a favorite appearance that you could share with us? Maybe a little story of what you did?
Absolutely. So the most things you'll see on my feed is emceeing. I love emceeing, whether it's pageants, community events. But other than emceeing, one that's really stuck to me is Emily's Meals. So Emily's Meals is a nonprofit organization here in the Rio Grande Valley that dedicates their time to feeding the homeless community. So the way they work is they're solely ran on the help of the community itself, people, volunteers. So they'll put out a calendar for the month of, let's say, for example, this month, they'll put out a calendar for the month of May, and people will volunteer to go in and feed the homeless community. So usually we make about 40 meals each and every day. They also get volunteers to deliver the meals, because sometimes the owners themselves don't have time. They have full-time jobs. So they receive volunteers, and the fact that people volunteer their time to for a better cause, to help people, some people that they don't even know. Kind of, it makes me very happy to see that we're all coming together to help those that need our help. And every time I can volunteer, which is pretty much at least once a month, every time I get to do that, my heart just feels kind of a tingly sensation every time, because not only do I help prepare the meals, but I also go and deliver them. So whenever I deliver these meals, the gratitude, the thankfulness that the people show you is absolutely phenomenal. Some of these people, basically, they don't have anything, but the fact that they're so thankful, the fact that they always have a smile on their face, they have gratitude, says a lot about the world and where we need to be today. Sometimes we have everything that we could possibly ask for, but then there's some people that are not grateful or not thankful and want more and more and more. So you could definitely learn a lot from the people that I've interacted with. Something that always stays with me is when I was delivering a meal, I actually came across a man. He was building crosses out of basically little sticks and metallic. So when I came across him, he actually made a necklace for me, and I still have that cross hanging on. Yes, and he was just very grateful, and he made me that cross, and that cross still stays with me, because it just comes to show that, how grateful and gratitude they have, and how even the small things to them make a big impact in their lives. So every time I can help at Emily's Meals, or every time I can do something with them, I'm the first one to sign up on there, because it makes my heart very happy to see that I'm making just a little difference in someone's life.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. I have one more question here from online. What category are you most nervous about? So in terms of all the categories you mentioned before for nationals.
Goodness gracious, let me see. I know most people are very nervous about onstage question, interview, and final speech. Trust me, I'm not. Those are my top picks. Every time someone asks me, what's your favorite portion of the competition? On-stage question. I know it's pretty weird for someone to say that, but those are my favorite. Nervous, I don't think I'm really nervous for any area of competition. If I had to choose one, it would probably, I wouldn't know what to tell you, because I'm not really nervous on that one. I think maybe swimsuit. I would probably say swimsuit, and that's because I have to pick one, not because I'm too nervous about it. But if I had to pick one, it would be swimsuit.
I love it. Love the confidence. It's perfect.
Me too.
Exactly with the winner attitude.
Thank you. No, I feel that I don't want to sound cocky or anything, but I just
feel
that with the team that I'm preparing with, they're preparing me so well in every area of the competition that, yes, I have a little bit of nerves, but I don't let the nerves overpower me, because it's all about your mentality, and it's all about how you go in there. If you go in there with I'm nervous for this, or I'm scared for this, that's kind of something that's going to tug at you, and it can kind of mess up your mindset. So I don't want to do that. I've been trying to be very positive about everything, not saying that things can't go wrong, right? But for the most part, I like to keep a positive mentality in everything that I do. So if I had to pick one, just to pick one, it would be swimsuit.
Gotcha.
It's a great mindset. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So going to the live chat, Scott Dion Brown is in the chats. He says hello. Hi. To all those who are tuned in, if you do have any questions for Juanita, we do have a few more minutes on air, so make sure you ask your questions in the live chats. Thank you to all of you who have been submitting questions online as well, and thanks, Liz, for reading them.
Thank you. I'm sifting through them. I'm like, trying to read them fast.
So you mentioned that you are a huge soccer fan. You also work for a men's basketball league. What is it about sports that fulfills you with joy?
Absolutely. So being a female in the sports industry is very uncommon. as you all may know, it's primarily a male-dominated industry. That's something that I've always been kind of very curious about. So why don't we have more females? Why does it have to be a male-dominated industry? Why can't we change it? So growing up, like I mentioned earlier, I was always surrounded by sports, with soccer, with several other things. And then going into high school, I kind of got into several other sports as well. So I know a little bit about every sport, and I've played pretty much every sport that you can think of. So growing up, my senior year of high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do in college. I was very lost. I wanted to be a pediatric oncologist, but I took a chemistry course, and it wasn't for me. Trust me, that course kind of defined it all. So then I decided that I had already done one pageant or two by that time. I decided that I loved speaking in front of crowds. That was my passion. I loved being in front of the stage, the lights, and everything. So when I went into college, I selected communications, not knowing that communications and mass communications were two completely different things. So I got a little bit more informed, and they told me about mass communications. And I kind of combined that low because my job, what I wanted to do, my dream job, was to be an ESPN reporter, because I said, how am I going to combine? I didn't want to just be a regular news reporter, because it was great, but it didn't fulfill me. I didn't feel the enthusiasm that I know you should feel whenever you have a job. So then I said, you know what? It's perfect. I can apply sports. And it's like God was sending me a message. I remember one time my former soccer coach asked me if I can go work a soccer game and do the stats, take down stats for him. As I was doing that, I actually met someone from a company here in the Rio Grande Valley that's very well known for the sports industry. And I believe he wasn't taking his stats too well, because during halftime, he comes up to me and he asks me, hey, can you share your stats with me? I just want to make sure they're right. So when he asked me that, I felt very pressured, because I didn't know if I was doing a good job or if he was putting me to the test. So then I shared them with him, and it was the exact same thing. And mind you, this was my first time doing it. So he asked me, hey, what do you want to do? Or what are you studying? Or what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm just in school. I'm trying to, get through communications, mass communications. I really don't know what's next. So then he said, hey, we'd like to offer you an internship. Are you interested? It's more of sports. And I told him from the get-go, you know what? I know cross country. I know soccer. I know tennis. I don't know too much of football. I don't know basketball, which is very ironic now. I told him, I don't know basketball, so I don't think I would be the right fit for you, wrong person. And he said, no, don't worry, we'll teach you. So that's how it started. I covered a couple of games and I fell in love with it. Since then, I've worked with some amazing sports and organizations. He taught me basketball, and now I'm in the basketball industry because of him. So it's pretty ironic. The life that we live in has a very weird way of working, excuse me.
No, 100%. Well, ESPN, stay tuned.
So funny, because my goal was always ESPN, but since I took on this role as a public relations manager, my mentality has completely changed. So now what I want to do, I still, don't get me wrong, I would love to be in front of the camera and everything, but now my primary aim is to be doing PR for an NBA team, an MLS team, anything that becomes the higher up level. So right now I work with the G League, which is an umbrella just right below the NBA. So if I can get to the NBA, that would be such a dream come true. So my mentality has changed, because things change, and I kind of took on an interesting role that I never thought I would take on. I took a chance, and now everything is kind of changing for me.
That's great.
Sports are such a huge thing in the States, like big business, and so it's really great that you're a part of it, especially as a woman. Do you have any advice for other women who are looking to get into the sports industry in any capacity? What would you say to them?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I've learned is to always stand your ground. Just because you're a female does not mean you do not belong in the industry. In this industry, you have to be firm, you have to stand your ground, and you have to fight for what you believe in. There will be people that will come in here and tell you, well, no, you're just not good enough because you're not a female, or they think that you're not good enough. They think that you probably don't know sports, because I hate to say it, but because we're females, sports are often times thought as, oh, it's a men thing. So my advice has always been stand your ground and don't back down. Don't let others belittle you just because of your gender. And I'm a firm believer in that. The more you stand your ground, you fight for what you believe in, people will respect that. Trust me, especially in this industry, people will definitely respect that.
Amazing. So going back to the chat, Scott asks, have you ever competed in any pageants outside of the US? Sorry if this was already asked. You're a little late, Scott.
It's okay, Scott. So yes, I've competed at the international level with the Regency system. I've also competed with the Belleza Latina system. So these are international pageants, but it just so happened that they were hosted here in the United States. So that's two of the major ones that I've competed in. Also the Globe United States system as well. So that's the three of the most recent ones that I can remember of. Yes.
And she may go to Indonesia, or she will go to Indonesia.
Fingers crossed. Exact same.
There you go. Well, we do a lot of manifestation on the show, so you will go to Indonesia.
We will, yes, we will. That's the spirit. I'm a firm believer in that. Speak it into existence, and if it's meant for you, it will be for you.
Exactly. Well, we are starting to wrap up with this show. Do you have any last words that you'd like to say to our viewers?
Yes, of course. I know. Thank you so much for everyone that tuned in, that turned in their questions, that was part of the show today. It honestly warms my heart to see the amount of support that I have been receiving. It doesn't go unnoticed. Trust me, I read every comment, every post, everything that you can think of. I do want to say thank you so much. I've received a lot of support from Indonesia, from Vietnam, from Mexico, from around the United States. So it's been such a warm feeling. Oh, and I can't forget my people from Venezuela, Colombia, the Philippines as well. So thank you guys so much for being part of this road to nationals, for believing in me, for believing in pretty much a person that you've never met, and for taking a chance on me. I really appreciate it. Thank you both for having me on the show. I've had an incredible time, and thank you for all of the interviews that you have conducted. Trust me, I know a lot of people take a lot of things away from these interviews, and not only that, but it also helps the title holders prepare, share what they stand for, share for what they believe in. So thank you guys so much for that.
Well, thank you for those kind words and for joining us. One last question. Thank you, Scott, for asking it. You're a huge sports fan. We are Canadians here. Have you ever been to a hockey game?
No, I have not. So, real quick thing, I know we have to go, but I was supposed to go to Canada back in last month. So the way the G League works is there's a team called the Toronto Raptors. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. So they're a basketball team. I'm pretty sure y'all are.
Toronto Raptors. Who are they?
So then they have their affiliate team, the 905 Raptors. So we were kind of in the dilemma of, we didn't know we were going to play them, the Raptors, or if we were going to play the Delaware Bluecoats. It was kind of one of those things, where are we going? So it came to the instance where the Delaware Bluecoats won. So we had to play the finals with the Delaware Bluecoats. But I was so excited because I was telling myself, you know what, I'm going to get to go to Canada. It's going to be so exciting. But I've never been, that's one of the only sports that I have never really had the opportunity to get to know or go to a game. It's definitely on my bucket list. Like you see here in the Rio Grande Valley, we don't really have much of that because ice and heat don't mix too well. But I will definitely make it a point to go to a hockey game.
You should. I'm not a big hockey person, but there's something about watching it live in the arena that it's a whole other experience.
For sure. And I love a Raptors game too. While we're talking about the Raptors, that's big here. So that's awesome.
I grew up on the court side, so yes, go Raptors. Yeah. Well, Juanita, thank you so much for joining us today. Once again, where can people find you online?
Yes, absolutely. So through my Instagram pages, you may follow my journey to nationals, at Miss Grand Texas. I also have my pageant page, Miss Juanita Maldonado, or my personal page, Juanita Maldonado, and of course my platform page, Empowering Mindsets.
Perfect. And Liz, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Instagram at Elizabeth Murdoch Pageantry. That's kind of where I compile all my pageant stuff. And then if you're interested in my hair and makeup for pageants, you can look at Elizabeth Murdoch Artistry on Instagram. And now, as of yesterday, Facebook. Thank you, Regine, for promoting Facebook vibes to me. I have a lot of bookings coming up, including Canada United World and Galaxy and all these places. So shoot me a message. How about you, Regine? Where can they find you?
Wait. You forgot, you just posted a video on YouTube. You're not going to promote your YouTube channel?
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, you can. I don't really promote that, but you can subscribe to me on YouTube. Elizabeth May, it's my middle name. I just posted my vlog at International Junior Miss if you guys wanted to see what that's all about. Kind of just a fun vlog, so yeah, follow that if you'd like. Now, Regine, how about you?
You guys can find me here on my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, like this video if you enjoy all things pageantry. As Liz and I had stated last week, we are taking a break for the summer with all of our pageants and life-changing experiences going on. So if you are enjoying these, make sure you tune in every Wednesday for the month of May. Because we are off from June to maybe August, September. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at It's Regina Elena, and follow my journey to Galaxy at Mrs. Galaxy Southern Canada 2022. Again, thank you so much for joining us, Juanita. We are looking forward to following your journey, as I said earlier, to the national title and then Indonesia.
We're rooting for you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Well, in that case, everyone have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Go check out Scott Dion Brown. I can't say his name. Scott Dion Brown's YouTube channel for his stream going live probably now. It's 8:30, and we'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.